This is Mike here from FTG. Today's date is July the 9th, 2015. This is the latest update on my arrest that occurred at the Jacksonville International Airport on August the 12th, 2014. I went to trial on Wednesday, July the 8th, and the trial lasted one day, and the jury came back and found me guilty. I'm not going to get into a lot of the details, but there's a few things I want to mention. If you know or not, the judge put a motion in limine on me where I was not allowed to mention freedom of speech, my First Amendment right, the U.S. Constitution about my First Amendment right, and a few other things. Because of this, the jury wasn't given all the facts. I wasn't allowed to present a proper defense. And basically, the jury had no choice but to convict me. And this was because of, again, not them getting all the facts and me allowed to present a proper defense, but this was mostly because of the way the jury instruction was formed. They're given a specific set of instructions as well as the elements that have to be met to find me guilty. And the way that was formed, the jury had no choice but to find me guilty. It's important to know, after the jury deliberated for a while, they came back with a couple questions, one of which was they asked the judge if there was a law that prevented protesting on the property. Obviously, there's not a law preventing it, but the judge wouldn't answer the question. He told the bailiff to tell the jury that they had to use the evidence that's before them to make their decision. So they deliberated for about 40 minutes more, and then another question came back, or kind of a statement. The jury said that they couldn't come to a unanimous decision, and what were they to do? The judge called them back in the courtroom and explained to them they had an obligation to continue until they could reach a unanimous decision. He also reminded them they had to ignore any emotion or any other beliefs they had, and they had to follow the law as was written down in the jury instructions. And whether they liked it or not, they had to use that and only that. And if they couldn't come to a unanimous decision based on that he was going to find a mistrial and he was going to reschedule the case for another trial. So he sent them back for deliberation. After about another 40 minutes, the jury came back with a guilty verdict. And that's where we stand. Today, July the 9th, I received my sentencing. These are the conditions, or this was the sentencing I received. 1 year probation, which includes about $60 a month in fees. 2 days jail time with credit time served. 30 days house arrest with a GPS monitoring device. I must pay for the house arrest, I must pay for the monitoring device, and the daily fee associated with that, which I believe is approximately $12 to $15 a day for monitoring. Mental health evaluation with a follow-up, approximately $1,200 in court costs and associated fees. I cannot come within 1 mile of Jacksonville Aviation Authority property. That includes Jacksonville International Airport, Hurlong Airport, and Craig Field. So I think it's important to mention here, and this was brought up to the judge, but the judge said he didn't care. Okay? As an investigator, I have to follow people. And they go all over the city, all over the state. But if I'm working a case and I come anywhere within a mile of one of these properties, I have two choices: to violate my probation or to break off my case and not get paid. I must comply with all administrative orders issued by Chief Judge Mahan. This includes the order where it says you can't hand out any paperwork or pamphlets at the courthouse that could compromise the integrity or show that the integrity of the courthouse could be compromised. That includes jury nullification, which I do a lot of. I have 150 hours of community service I must do. I must remove all weapons from my house, and I'm not allowed to carry a weapon, even though I have a concealed weapons permit for over 15 years. And if I want to continue to protest or demonstrate, I must get permission and I must follow all decorum and rules. I don't know how you do that, but that's what I've been told I have to do. I'm not going to go into any other details. My opinions about the judge is biased, the fact that the state lied, and a few other things. I've prepared a statement that I read to the media after my sentencing, and I'd like to read it here, and I'm going to end with that. I give glory to God and thank Him for all my blessings. I also thank my loving wife and son for their unwavering support. Yesterday, in this courtroom, another devastating blow was taken by the U.S. Constitution and citizens' rights. This devastating blow was manufactured by the very same men and women that we are told to rely on and trust to protect the very same freedoms that I was convicted for. The state has maliciously prosecuted me using 2 prosecutors and tens of thousands of tax dollars simply because I was exercising my First Amendment right. So let me recap. I, a supposedly free man in a supposedly free country, stand here today as a convicted criminal for simply holding a sign critical of the U.S. government and their agencies, all while standing on public property. This right is clearly protected by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, yet I was not even allowed to give this testimony in court. My friend and colleague, Jeff Gray of Photography is Not a Crime, was confronted by the very same officers on a separate day than my arrest and told that he was allowed to hold his sign that read freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Yet the judge would not allow me to give this testimony. Obviously, this double standard between favorable speech about the government and that which is critical is what resulted in my conviction. All for what? For refusing to allow an illegal command from a person we look to protect our rights and not violate them? This person is a person that we call a law enforcement officer. This person is a person who, like the judge and state's attorney, took an oath to defend the U.S. Constitution and the Florida Constitution. I want to take this opportunity to correct a statement that I made yesterday to the media. After giving it a lot of thought, I have changed my mind. The question posed to me yesterday was, would I do it again? And I said no. Well, I believe the more appropriate question is, was it worth it? To that question, I unequivocally say no. However, let me make this clear. I would do it again for one simple reason. Right and just do not change because of the severity of the consequences. I have learned through my life experiences that I cannot control others. If the judge, state's attorney, and law enforcement choose to violate their oath for me and punish me for exercising my constitutional rights, then so be it. I do not consider this case a loss simply because I was convicted. I consider it a victory, and I am not remorseful. I have done my civic duty, clearly by exposing the corrupt court and a system that we pretend is justice. Freedom is not free. I thank all my supporters. I hope you get it. And thank you for your time.